Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. My name is Heather, and on this channel we like to walk a very fine line between a shopping addicted makeup monster and a responsible adult with a makeup hobby. Now, I really enjoy eyeshadow singles, duochromes, multichromes, blush, highlight, lip gloss, basically everything except pressed glitter, and today we're going to be doing my July palette ranking. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, stick with me, we're getting into it right now. Now, I've had some palettes that I had been starting to play around with in like May and June, but I just hadn't tested them enough times to really be comfortable making kind of a generalization about how I felt about them, putting them into a ranking. So some of them have been kind of lingering from month to month. And during the time of July, I was making an effort to use them all kind of interchangeably or mixed together so that I could form opinions enough to be able to rank them and kind of keep it moving. Because I have a lot of stuff that still needs ranked. And so for this ranking, somehow I still managed to have 10 palettes. I did also spend some time doing looks with my Profusion 10 pan palettes so that I could do a ranking video for those. That video is already up on my channel. If you're interested in checking it out, definitely please do. In any event, I have a lot of palettes here that were okay. And that kind of sucks, but they were okay. So let's get into it. We're gonna go in at number 10, and that's the ColourPop and Powerpuff Girls palette. Now, I picked this palette up originally because I wanted to mix it with the Nightmare Before Christmas palette, not knowing that this is a different size pan than the Nightmare Before Christmas palette until I actually got both in my hands. Dumb on my part, I should have read, but I do really like that there's like 4 colorful mattes here. You've got 2 kind of colorful metallics here. You unfortunately have 2 pressed glitters in here, which I'm not a fan of, and then a couple neutrals. I definitely have a ton of neutrals from ColourPop, so I'm all good there. But I think I can take these colorful mattes out of here and kind of repurpose them with some of my other ColourPop palettes that have this same size and kind of mix them in to give a little bit more vibrancy to some of those color stories. So it came in at number 10 because in and of itself, I'm not like impressed by this color story, but I think I have utility with this color story mixed with other things. Coming in at number 9 is the Bh Cosmetics, this is the Artistry Palette Volume 2, excuse me. Now it looks like this. It's a little 6-pan palette, and this is the color story inside. I picked it up because Midas was going out of business. I picked up a couple different things during a 50% off sale that they had earlier this year, and then I picked up some things during their like clearance. I really like the mattes in here. I think they have really interesting like undertones for these mattes, so I really do appreciate that. The 2 metallics that they have in here are very soft metallics. I think if you're somebody who does not use a lot of indie eyeshadow, these probably would be sufficient for you and you would like them a lot. But as somebody who has a lot of Divina, Cleona, Terra Moon, you know, I have some really special eyeshadows and these just don't really cut it. So I think these mattes mixed with some of my other more special eyeshadows would be a perfect combination, and that's how I was using this palette, but by itself it fell at number 9 because these metallics just can't support the eye looks that I want. Alright, coming in at number 8 is the ColourPop Lush Life palette, which I picked up for $5. They had it on clearance at ColourPop's website, and I figured, you know, if I pick it up and I only ever use the 4 shades in the center, $5 for 4 singles is a decent enough investment. And I've used this a couple times. I actually have made like a neutral look out of the like deeper browns on this side, and then I've used these shades here as like the mattes and deepening up shades, and then the like lower lash line metallics. I do really like it for that purpose. Again, I don't think any of the metallics in this palette are special enough to really like carry my whole eye look because the bar is set incredibly high for metallics for me at this point. So it fell to number 9 for that reason, but the packaging and everything for this is like beautiful. Alright, coming in at number 8 is the Bh Cosmetics Bff Palette. I don't know who these 2 people are, Alondra and Elsie. I don't know, but congratulations, girls, because this is an awesome palette. I picked this up because Kara C was going on and on about how great this palette was, and I saw it at TJ Maxx. It was, I think, $7 or $8, And I saw these two shades here, which I thought were really, really beautiful and kind of unique. Like, we don't see a lot of these kind of frosty periwinkle type shades. And then I really liked this super dark blue, and then this kind of like green to brown duochrome shade. So I picked it up basically for those, because I figured if I get use out of the other shades in the palette, great. If not, it's not a big deal, because that's not what I was looking for. The only trouble that I run into is there's a couple pops of blue in here, but for me, I don't like to do a neutral eye look with a pop of blue. I want a little bit more color. And honestly, I should have read the room whenever I saw this palette, because there's really only, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colorful shades. Everything else is like pinks and browns. So, you know, kind of my fault. I don't think for the $7 or so I paid for it, it's a bad palette. I do think it's really pretty, but I tend to use this in conjunction with other things because I want more color, more vibrancy in my looks. But came in at number 7 for that reason. Noticing a theme. These are a lot of palettes that were sitting for a little while because I was not using them by themselves enough. So I'm like, I need to just start using them together, make looks, make it work, and then make an opinion. So coming in at number 6 is the Hummingbird Palette. This was the collaboration between Odensai and Tina the Fancy Face, and it looks like this. I love the metallics in here, and this multi-chrome in here is like dumb pretty. I really, really like the metallics that they chose, and I like this very grapey, grayish brown plum shade. It is very pretty as a deepening up shade. My only trouble is this works really well, but I have nothing to blend it into, and I'm not the person that wants like a mid-tone brown in every palette. I really don't, but I don't even have like a soft like plummy purple or anything to mix it into. I hesitate to kind of constantly pull into the like red-brown shades there. The blue is almost as deep as this, so they don't really work together either, and then this blue is so light that it really doesn't work. So I just find myself getting kind of stumped by this color story. I tend to have to reach into a lot of other things to kind of make a balanced, cohesive look, but I do really like the shimmers that are in this palette. They are very pretty. Alright, coming in at number 5 is the Melt Millennial Pinks palette, which looks like this, and I ended up getting this unused on Mercari for like, I don't know, 20 bucks maybe. And I got it because I started falling in love with the Melt formula, and I was like, now I want to try all Melt palettes. And this one had kind of mixed reviews, so I wasn't willing to pay full price for it, but 20 bucks, I was like, I'll try it for 20 bucks. And I do really like it. The pink mattes here are very nice and soft. These 3 pink metallics are really nothing special, nothing to write home about. I mean, they're pink metallics. You could probably find that in pretty much any palette you go to that's going to have a pink color story, from the drugstore to high end. This shade is like an iridescent pink duochrome, but it's pretty soft in comparison to some of the like newer formulas that are out there. I would hazard to say you could even use this as like a highlighter on your face because it's so soft. It gives like a nice glow, but it's not like, I don't know why I chose to swatch it there, but it's not like super blinding, and it's not a very obvious duochrome type shade. And then the grays and black, like navy kind of combo down here, I do think is also really pretty. I do struggle in a sense to kind of mix this in with these, but I have seen some looks where they've combined them and they look really, really pretty. So it's something that I'm definitely wanting to work on, mixing gray with pinks and mixing it with purples, because I think it does look really pretty when other people do it. Okay, coming in at number 4 is another Melt palette. And this is their More y Menopause palette, which looks like this. This was their Halloween release last year, and for some reason they kind of advertised this as like, in case you missed out on Vida Muerte, you can get this, which didn't make any sense to me because this maybe kind of is similar to Vida but has nothing to do with Muerte. In any event, I do think the shades in here are really pretty. I like these neutrals. I mean, despite the fact that they are very like just standard neutrals, there's something about the undertone that I think is just a little bit different, makes them a little bit more special. I love these really deep shades over here. I've been reaching into those constantly to kind of work with some of these other palettes to really deepen out an eye look. And the metallics in here, they're nice. They're very sparkly. So for me, you know, I like the shades in here. Again, I don't use it as a standalone palette. It's kind of frustrating because it's really big, but I think it's a great palette to turn to kind of round out some of the other eye looks that I've been building. Okay. Now coming in at, so the last 3 palettes that I have here, you probably could rearrange in any order, and I think I would have still been like agreeable to the order. But coming in at number 3, I put the Sugar Pill Capsule Collection. This is the Halloween capsule. This is number 3. And the color story looks like this. First of all, I love this packaging, and I love the fact that you have this like very black outline to each of the pans that really like sets the colors off. It makes them look more like vibrant and interesting. This metallic blue is like show-stopping when you put it on. It looks so pretty. I did a look where I blended it into the purple and the pink, and I thought that came out really cool too. I actually popped some of the peach too, so it had a really strong like peach and blue opposites attract kind of a thing. I really liked it. I thought it was cool. I think this palette is a really pretty color story, and I definitely can't wait to keep playing with it, especially as we get into like the fall months and things like that, because fall is coming, you guys. Thank goodness. Alright, and coming in at number 2 is the Disney ColourPop Nightmare Before Christmas collab, and the color story looks like this. I picked this up around Black Friday, maybe a little bit earlier than that, and I've been using it like off and on. I do really love this, like mostly this duo here, but this row of soft gray neutrals to blend into other looks. I think these pinks look really pretty as well. These 2 metallics are part of what drew me into this palette, and while they are pretty, like arguably they are very pretty shades, when you put them on the eyes, they just don't carry enough impact for me. Like, they're pretty, but whenever I have like really special like duochrome, multichrome kind of shades, I want more than what this gives me. So I do really like the matte color story in this palette, but I tend to be a little bit disappointed by the shimmers, so that's part of why it's been kind of lingering for a while, and I haven't been comfortable ranking it just yet, because I was like, where do I put this whenever I love some of it and I hate some of it? Not hate, but just I'm frustrated. I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. ColourPop. So that came in at number 2. And then coming in at number 1 was the Nomad Fête de Provence palette, which looks like this. And this is the inside color story. So for me, I have a first impressions video of this palette already up on my channel if you're interested. For me, the most interesting part of this palette is this 9 pan right here. Even if I didn't have the rest of it, I think this would be a really cool color story. I love mixing these like super cool tone grays and purples together, and I do think that the yellows and the pinks are really pretty. I do like this orange kind of duochrome. These 2 shades are incredibly soft, like they're not super vibrant with the impact that they have. I was expecting them to be a little bit different than what they are. Like, they're pretty. I really like the look that I did with that one, but it just doesn't have that like super vibrant impact that I'm expecting from Nomad palettes, because they have, I mean, like Tokyo Harajuku has like super vibrant duochrome type shimmers, so I was kind of expecting that formula here, and that's not what those 2 shades are. They are still really pretty. The rest of the shades in the palette in terms of the metallics are really nice and sparkly. I do really like this shade a lot, like this very slate blue gray. Oh, so pretty. So because I like the color story, because it's so interesting, it rose up to the top pretty easily. I will say though, the matte dark gray in this palette, the one right here, sorry you guys, I'm like in and out of my own frame. The dark gray over here, I do get some patchiness when I'm blending that. I don't know if it's the primers that I'm using. I tend to use NYX Pigment Primer and the Milani Eye Primer, but whenever I was doing a lot of this shade in the outer corner, it got a little bit patchy on me. So I actually ended up using another black in this palette to kind of deepen and even everything out a little bit. But again, everything else about this palette I really like, so it rose to the top among other palettes that just didn't do it enough for me. Alright, and with that said, that is everything for my palettes in the month of July. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe before you go, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye!